Hey guys, welcome back. It's a very warm February afternoon, about 70 degrees, and this warm weather has prompted a number of people on Craigslist and Facebook, etc., to unload their snowblowers. This MTD one was on Facebook, and it's the owner said that it is currently not working, but it will run on starter fluid. The tires, I think, have seen better days. I think I want to try and see if I can get this running, at least. So, without further ado, let's see if we can put some gasoline in the carburetor and see if it'll pop. I say that I think that it's going to run, so let's get to taking that carburetor off and apart. Alright, it went in the furthest hole here, and it goes in the middle hole on the throttle assembly, throttle linkage. Remember that. Alright, let's see what's in this carburetor. I think this should be a 1/2 inch nut, which I believe is also the carb jet. It's been a while since I've taken apart a Tecumseh carburetor. They're a little bit different than the Briggs & Stratton carburetors I'm normally used to dealing with. Yeah, that's the main jet. Hold on, let me turn you around so that your back is to the light. There, that's probably better. So you can get a better look at what's inside there. Actually, somebody has probably tried to clean this before me. It looks like the weather has probably gotten into here. You can see the rust on the float pin. Probably should put this in a vise. Yeah, it's pretty crusty. Actually, this doesn't look like a float pin at all. It is a nail that somebody has cut off. That's new. There's the float needle. Actually looks like it might be scored on the tip. Yeah, it's definitely got a groove at the tip. It's probably not going to seal. And that would definitely correlate with the original owner saying that when he put gas in the tank, that it would just pour out of the carburetor. That seat looks pretty crusty in there too. So, and you can see this Welch plug is completely rusted out. The weather has definitely gotten into this carburetor. The float bowl is rusted. This is a Tecumseh carburetor off of a lawnmower of nearly the same generation, early to mid 2000s. If I recall, this carburetor was pretty beat as well, but maybe, just maybe, some of the parts we need in it are still good. There's our float pin. And there is our needle. And this needle looks much better than this needle. This needle looks beat, the tip. This one looks really nice. The seat in this one looks pretty good as well. Definitely will not be able to get this one out without, well, actually, there. Got it out. What do you think? Try and get the other one out? I got that seat out, and it is, I had to use, I could not get it out just by poking at it, so I had to use a screw, threaded that in, got it out. It is definitely more beat than the one I pulled out of the carburetor I had in the shed. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use this one. I also took a wire brush to the carb, cleaned up some of the rust and deposits on it. It's not perfect, but it'll do. I also cleaned up the gasket mounting surface here as well. So hopefully it'll make a good seal and not leak. First I would start with the jet, and there's a tiny hole down the center leading to 2 holes on either side of the jet. Make sure that is clear. You can use a small copper wire or something like that to clean it out if there's garbage in that. Once you have that done, you can spray up the emulsion tube here, making sure that it comes out in the carburetor. That orange tube in there leads directly to that orange tube right down in there. You can see it. Then there is a circuit right in there, if you can see that hole right by the choke on the bottom, kind of right there. You see it? Spray down that and make sure that comes out of another hole down in there. Okay, there, I got that out, and then you can take out this idle jet here. And that's going to have 2 holes in it as well, in the top or bottom of it and out the sides of it. Clean that out. You spray in there as well. There are several passages that lead into the carburetor body and down into the pickup down here, and you can spray out the primer bulb connection there. That's pretty much it. Once you clear all of that stuff, it probably ought to run. I'll spare you the boredom of me going through and doing all of that, and I'll turn you back on when it's time to reassemble this thing. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install the float seat, and I'm going to install it so that the side with the grooves is down in the hole. Like that. Let's install the float needle and float. This is the new one, the new old one. Okay, like that. Then we slide our float pin through, like that. Our float and seat are installed, and the float really should sit right about level, which it does. And you can try blowing through this thing when it's upside down, and it should not allow any air through. And when you blow through it like this, you should get a lot of airflow. I'm going to try that right now. I'm going to use a clean piece of tubing rather than blowing on this dirty old fuel connection. Alright, next, let's install the bowl gasket. Like so. And then we can install the float. And then, actually that's not the right jet. Alright, so after looking at this, I think I'm going to use this carburetor bowl out of the new old carburetor that I found, because this one, if you can see it right there, it's actually starting to corrode and it's no longer a circle, so it's kind of rusted, corroded around the edge there. And so that material is probably pretty thin, and it's probably not going to make a good seal with the gasket. It's all corroded under here too, so I think this bowl is pretty much beat as well. So let's use this one. Now I can go ahead and put the choke arm back on and all of that. All right, back together now. Let's go install. All right. Does it overflow? So far it's not. Why don't we give it a start? I don't think this carb bowl is filling. If I crack this bowl nut, I should get gas coming out. Yeah, this carb bowl is... There it comes. Comes the gas. Yeah, I think there's still something wrong with that needle and seat. I think that the float may be sticking. I'm not sure, not 100% sure, but let's take this carburetor back off and see what we can find. First, let's check and make sure that we got gas coming out of the line. Yep. I'd say we have gas. And it's really not all that dirty either. It's actually pretty clear. Let's crack this open and see if there is actually any fuel in the bowl. It's a little bit. Let me take a closer look at this. Bring you back. Alright, so I really didn't find anything wrong with the carburetor other than just oldness and a little bit of crustiness, but it seemed to function okay. When I blew in here, when the carburetor was right side up, the air went through, turned it upside down, and the float seemed to stop the air from going through. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drain the gas and kind of flush the the tank a little bit with some fresh gas. I'm just gonna let the gas run into this container. See what we get. Not too bad. A little bit of stuff in it, but overall not bad. Smells a little bit old, so I'm gonna flush the tank and put some fresh gas in. Alright, so I filled the gas tank up with fresh gas, and I put the carburetor back on and reconnected the fuel line, and now the primer line. Let's see what we get. That sounds more promising. Alright, let's see if it'll run. Prime it a little bit more. Yep, I got gas coming up. Alright, let's see. Alright, well, there's the next repair.